Back now on Triad Today, we have a very serious topic that we want to go over, and there's two guys that can really help us navigate that topic. We want to talk about workers' compensation, and to do that, our two very special guests. Lori Bates, our director, let's meet them. Next to me on my immediate right, Griff Shuler is an attorney with Daggett Shuler, law firm of the same name, carries his namesake. Speaking of carrying the namesake, next to him, our friend David Daggett, also an attorney with Daggett Shuler. Welcome again, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Before we get into workers' comp, just a quick thing, David, if you can give me 10 or 12 seconds for anybody that might have just moved into the area or hasn't seen some of the TV commercials, how would you describe what your law firm does and who do you help?
Sure. We're a local law firm that handles injury and disability cases. We handle all serious injuries, workers' compensation claims, Social Security disability claims.
Now, let's go into workers' compensation in the 4.5, 5 minutes that we have here. And guys, anybody can start who wants to. I want to ask, I guess, to start off, what constitutes a workplace injury? We didn't rehearse any of this, but I'm just curious. What would constitute it?
Jim, in general, a workers' compensation claim grows out of an injury that happens at work. And in general, it needs to be an injury that happens by accident. And one of the things that's interesting about workers' compensation law is you would think that that would be a question that would be easily answered, but really even the concept of whether or not a injury happening on the job is an accident is an issue that an insurance company may deny somebody's case for. And so even
because they're thinking you might have injured something at home, and then you come to work and say, oh, my back, and then the insurance company might say, wait a minute, you could have done this at home.
Well, and it gets even a little bit more detailed about that because the law defines what a quote accident is, and sometimes an accident is something that you think is one thing, but it's another. And in particular, you can think that you've had an injury on the job and that it's clearly an accident, but it's really not.
David.
I think Griff's being a little modest. He's a board-certified specialist in workers' compensation law. He's been head of the Bar Association's workers' compensation section. I think he's the foremost workers' compensation lawyer in the state.
That's great.
The truth is workers' compensation laws are very tricky and very complicated. It's not an easy maze to work through. You would think you get injured, you get paid for the injury, everything's okay. And many times that's the case on minor injuries, and the system works the way it's supposed to. On more serious injuries, where you have ongoing impairment of your ability to earn wages or permanent disabilities that require ongoing treatment or maintenance, those are much more serious and much more complicated cases.
I'm going to ask a very naive question. Again, in a perfect world, you'd think, okay, I've hurt my back, I'm going to be out of work for X number of weeks, I'm going to lose money if something's not done. In a perfect world, you'd think the employer and the insurance company would say, well, Jim, we're going to take care of you, don't worry about it. But that doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't. And injured workers need to realize that the insurance companies have one thing in mind, and that's frankly to save money themselves. And so they're going to make decisions that help save them money. One of the things that's very important in workers' compensation cases is to get the proper medical treatment. And you've got to realize the insurance companies in North Carolina, in general, get to direct the medical treatment. You don't get to choose your own doctor in North Carolina.
I didn't know that.
And that makes the process confrontational.
I don't get to choose my doctor if I've been hurt on?
Not in North Carolina.
David?
No, and that's why you need somebody experienced, knows the system, knows how to weave it through, get the proper treatment, document the claim, document the injuries, so that the workers' compensation system works for the injured worker.
David, you sent me an email, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording of it, but it was something like there were some legislative changes that had been going on, and what are those changes, and do they make a difference in trying to file?
Well, in 2011, there was a major law change in North Carolina, and it changed several parts of it. But one of the biggest changes was how it impacts an injured worker and their ability to go back to work. And it's as David was saying earlier, this area of the law is very tricky. There are certain laws, certain rules that if you play it wrong, it can really impact the benefits you get, and it can impact your ability to have your job.
About 10 seconds left.
And it's important because this is the security of your family.
Sure.
It's the income and stability for your family. And if you're having difficulty, you need to get some help.
And on that point, we go to the website and the phone number, 724-1234. But I suggest you go to the website first. Just my feeling on this, it helps me, DaggettShulerLaw.com. get to know the firm, get to know what they can do, and get some background, then pick up the phone, 724-1234 to Griff and to David. Thanks for clearing this up.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll be right back after this.